Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Pisces October 2022 monthly miracle reading. This is I Am Illuminated Tarot, a place for you to better connect with and illuminate your own personal spiritual importance. So hi, everyone, and welcome. So this reading is a little different than my usual monthly illumination reading that goes a little bit more in depth. This one is specifically focused on showing you where Spirit would like to bring in a miracle or a really beautiful opportunity to elevate and bring prosperity into some aspect of your experience this month. So I'm a big believer in miracles, both large and small. And I think for many of us, as the older we get, the more we kind of pass miracles off into the realm of fantasy and almost disbelief. But when we get back to that place of realization that there's always an opportunity waiting just around the corner for us that's really there to help elevate and aid and grow our experience. When we get into that frame of mind of looking for those miracles, they start to present themselves. So that's kind of what this message is, or this reading is all about. So let's see here, Pisces, what wants to come out for you this month? Where's that miracle hiding for you? Okay, so we have orphaned. So this is kind of the point of where Spirit is asking you to keep an open mind. And where it's almost like where Spirit's asking you to, on a spiritual level, keep your eyes and ears open, because in this, the message behind this card, there's going to be something in it that's going to kind of allow you to be able to focus as to where that miracle or that really beautiful opportunity wants to come in for you. So I'm going to read first the message that comes in the guidebook with this oracle deck to kind of set the tone, and then we're going to pull additional cards and clarifiers to get deeper into this message. So we have orphan with the number 5, and the number 5 is a number that in numerology harnesses the energy of change, which actually is a beautiful energy because it can be one of growth. When we think of change, sometimes we get a little frightened, or we may feel maybe even kind of like this image here, this orphaned feeling of I might be left out in the cold if things change. But in reality, generally change speaks to growth, speaks to elevation, speaks to expansion. So this can actually be a very good time for you. And I think there's going to be a message here for some of you about kind of changing your perspective from one of that kind of fear-based mindset of I'm alone, or am I going to be alone forever? Am I always going to feel like an outsider, to one of realizing that that's really where the miracle wants to come in for you, is to show you, I think, a little bit of where there's a community that's waiting to grow around and with you. So we have orphaned. It says essential meanings: a sense of loss and identity crisis, recognizing that you don't fit in, the need to belong, uncertainty about your place. It says the oracle's message: we were all meant to have connections with other people within our families, society, and the larger culture. No man is an island, and it's important to recognize when being a part of rather than separate from is essential to your well-being. The issue at hand is the need to find where you fit. Be true to your core truths and values. Perhaps you no longer identify with a group or community the way you did before and need to find a new situation. You might be feeling a deep sense of loss or confusion. Address the need for belonging and know that you will find your place with others of like mind and spirit. It's okay to let go of pressure to fit in. Not everyone will understand you. It's time to move on. Now, I'm also going to read the prosperity message because that's really what we're looking at here in this reading. It says, this card reminds you that you can't be all things to all people. You are not going to be popular with everyone, and that has to be okay with you. Be clear about your mission, your brand, your work persona, and your contribution to the world, as these must be based on what you authentically have to offer, not something you think will sell or you perceive they may want. You will attract abundance by being completely yourself. Stay in your own lane. That's where you will shine and where you'll experience prosperity. I really like this. So again, there's a feeling coming through, and the messages kind of underscore this, is that there's a feeling here of change on the horizon for you, that there's an element, there's a place for you to really elevate and grow a community that really fits who you are. But first, really where this is going to come from for you to basically open yourself up for the opportunity or miracle to come in around this is for you to really be clear as to who you are and to appreciate that about yourself, to be comfortable with that. When it says it's, not everyone is going to appreciate who we are. Not everyone's going to understand our viewpoint. Not everyone's going to enjoy our whatever, our creativity, our ideas, or just the personality we bring to the table. But ultimately, we have to be okay with that because I am a big proponent of really believing that we all have a place to fill. And that when we really step into that and we take ownership of that's really when we get to not only elevate our experience, but we get to also elevate the collective experience. You have a really cool chance this month, Pisces, to really, I think, dive deep to see what you uniquely bring to the table. Get very comfortable with that, and maybe really, take this month to really become aware of maybe where you kind of, dumb yourself down a little bit, or you're around people who maybe don't appreciate. Maybe they, in your work environment, maybe your ideas are kind of being squashed, or where you're in a relationship with somebody, whether it's friendship or even a romantic relationship, where the individual is kind of maybe criticizing you a bit, or maybe where you feel that you truly can't show the best and brightest parts of yourself. And that's maybe where, even though you might have to walk away from some relationships, that's the change. But the change is ultimately going to bring in the miracle of you finding others who are actually going to appreciate you more. And that's going to then be able to expand your whole entire experience. So there's a opportunity here to really level up your entire experience. This is an important time period for you, Pisces. So I'm going to go ahead and pull a card now for the concept of curiosity. And this is where Spirit would like you to be curious about where you're potentially blocking yourself from really appreciating who you are and allowing yourself to kind of lead with that to find where you fit, to really become part of a community based around, again, your core truths and values. Let's see, what does Pisces need to know about where they need to be curious about a potential block here? And the beauty of curiosity is one that kind of opens us up again to, it's almost like where we take the blinders off a little bit and we get excited again, and we get curious about, okay, what's around the corner for us, what's up around the next bend, but also where have I been kind of holding myself back from, maybe out of a sense of disbelief or a sense of duty or a sense of this is just the way it's done, and where have I kind of held myself in this place of a lack of curiosity. I'm not looking to see where there's other options, how something can be done a little differently. So curiosity is really a beautiful superpower to bring into our life experience. It allows us to stay very aware and present, but also forward focused. Okay. Let's see, Pisces. Man, your cards just do not want to come out today. Let's see. Where is Pisces potentially blocking themselves? Yeah, I tried to sit for your reading earlier this morning, and then the cards just would not come out. So, maybe you're having a little bit, there could be an element of indecision. There could be a feeling this month coming through there's some things you don't want to see, perhaps. Okay, so we have 3 cards coming out. Oh, interesting. So we have the Sun, we have happy family, and patience. All right. Okay, so, with the patience card coming in, I think there's this feeling that there's something growing within your experience. With this, the Sun is this beautiful, illuminating energy. It's one where we're really in that place of growth. When you think of the sun coming out and we think of, how plants respond to that, there's this feeling coming through with that and the happy family that there is a time of growth happening right now. And when we look at the number 1 and the number 4 together, those equal the number 5. So there's growth and change happening here. And then we have patience coming in. And this is the number 16, which reduces down to the number 7. That is really that that beautiful place of confidence and faith that we have in the process when we know that we are co-creating with spirit. So I think right now it's kind of that feeling of perhaps you feel maybe outside of this. You feel, where, yes, maybe you do have a happy family, or maybe you enjoy a family life, but maybe there's something more, or maybe this is what you want. You want to feel this kind of 10 of Cups. Now, I always associate the happy family card in this deck with the 10 of Cups in the tarot because it does incorporate a lot of the same imagery. The family, the rainbow, the feeling that you have this chance to kind of touch on an emotional level what it would feel like to experience your version of heaven on earth on our physical plane here, and to really be able to step into a place where you can share that then with others, that you have so much emotional abundance that you literally want to emotionally give to others. But there's a feeling here that perhaps you don't feel that right now, that there's some aspect of your life where maybe you do want to share something. You really want to share with a friend group. You want to find others who you could either grow this with or become this with some, a group. And this doesn't have to be family related, even though this is happy family. This could be just where you really want to have that sense of finding people who you fit with. That family where it could be the work family that you've always wanted and just haven't been able to find. It could literally be the friend family group that you've been waiting for. And I think when we're thinking again of a block, it's that lack of patience. It's that feeling of, but if I walk away from a relationship that doesn't serve me now, well, I'm getting older. I may never find another person to have this with. And this is saying, especially with the number 7 coming through with this patience card, this is that having faith in the process, having faith that when we go towards what is in more alignment with ourselves, that everything kind of clicks into feeling in flow. That's really where the sun comes out and we start to feel on some aspect of our experience that internal growth. So I think it's really about, I'm going to pull some clarifiers here, but I think for a lot of you, there's this feeling of really having to get back in touch with your own internal child first, because that's kind of what the sun card can represent too, is really being able to have that internal illumination, and to really get back in touch with who you are at your core, that beautiful kind of happy, innocent version of yourself, that inner child. And then really being able to appreciate that enough to realize that there's no need to rush that inner child or to hide that inner child just to try to get towards this. Because the more that we do that, the more that we become disconnected from that part of ourself or from sharing that part of ourself, that's really where we then kind of push this away. That feeling of the happy family of I fit, I belong. So let's go ahead here. I'm going to pull some cards first for the happy family. And then I'm going to pull some for actually, you know what? I'm going to pull it just for the whole thing. So we're looking at it as a block of a lack of patience, of that feeling of, but what if it doesn't come? Or when am I going to find it? There's that feeling here. When am I going to find the right people? Judgment. Yeah, you've changed. And that can be judgment can be a hard energy to channel, because it's one where we've changed internally. It's one where we've either gotten back in connection to our authentic self, that inner child, or it's one where, because of our external circumstances and what we've had to go through, we ourselves have now become a different person because we are stronger. We know more. We have kind of learned something through like a trial by fire. And so there's a feeling here when we go through that, it's very hard sometimes to express that to people that have known you kind of before this transformation. And so, yeah, oh, I love this. Okay, this is a beautiful energy, Pisces, really beautiful. So we have the Judgment and the Three of Wands. So Judgment, again, is that change. It's the realization of you've changed in some way. You've reconnected either more authentically to a part of yourself, or you have simply just in what you've gone through, you've been called up to become a higher version of yourself. And the Three of Wands is when you're bringing in through your own actions, you're bringing in opportunities. You're drawing towards you. And I always love the image on this card specifically because I know it's kind of hard to see. But it's an individual who is literally, it looks like he's like has ropes spinning and he's pulling into himself those opportunities. It's a much more active card than in the traditional Rider-Waite Tarot, which just shows an individual kind of looking and waiting for their ships to come in. So there's something here that's really speaking to you. You have changed. You have an awareness. With the sun coming in, there is that awareness. There is the illumination of you have changed. You are aware of this. You're aware of that you're much more powerful or much more again, aware of some aspect of yourself that you want to share, that you understand it needs to be shared and put out there. And in so doing that, that awareness is naturally bringing in the right people, the right circumstances, the miracle that's perfect for you. But you have to be patient. And the patience is what's going to allow you to realize that you're not alone, that spirit is with you, and that sometimes something is a lot closer than we think. So I'm just going to say that because that's a really strong emphasis that's coming in here, that I think for some of you, there's this fear of, again, if I change a job situation, if I change a relationship situation, if I walk away from this group of people, that the opportunity is going to elude me even further. That I'm, when am I going to find the next friend group? When am I going to find the next, work family that feels like this? And it's saying it's coming in again, because you've changed naturally how you act and how you present yourself has changed. And so it's almost like the big change that's happened within yourself is actually presenting itself externally now. And I think, there's a part of you that doesn't realize just how much that is shining through at this point. So let's see. Now I'm going to pull a card for courage. And this is where Spirit would like you to have the courage to really heed the message in this, in the card that comes out, and to utilize it to have the courage to take action, to make the changes here of kind of, I think, really getting into that place of faith that what's coming to you now is going to be the right opportunity to expand and elevate your sense of community, that sense of belonging. Again, big miracle coming in for you here. Ooh, I love it. It says surrender to creativity. It says, let your imagination soar. Stay open to all creative ideas about how to pursue a dream or solve a problem. So this is lovely. Surrender to your creativity. I think for some of you, again, with the kind of the sun card coming through and this possible reconnection to your inner child, to something maybe that you've always wished or wanted to do. And that dream is suddenly here with a happy family. Again, the 10 of Cups in the tarot is kind of the realization on an emotional level of that dream, of the ultimate feeling that we want to feel of just joy and knowing that we're in the right place with the right people, experiencing exactly what we've always wanted to experience. And so when we think about surrendering to creativity, this is really surrendering to that truly authentic place within yourself of what are you here to create? What do you bring to every situation? You might think at this point that maybe you've tried to move towards a dream in a specific way, and maybe it just hasn't manifested quite in the way that you wanted. But now there's a realization again that there's been a big change in who you are, and it's saying it's time to try it again. It's not to give up on the dream or to say it's just never meant for me or I'm just never going to find the right people. This is saying it's time to try again, but this time coming from a place of true authenticity to yourself. What is your creative process? What do you naturally bring to the situation? And how can you bring that into this whole experience right now too? It's almost like, how can you knit that sweater to wear everywhere so that people come up to you and say, oh my gosh, that's a beautiful sweater. Did you make that? Or how can you open up your house to allow other people to come in and enjoy the fruits of your labor and decorating the beautiful home that you have, or, wanting to entertain so that you bring the people into your house to become the community, the friends. There's something here around that of being able to show outwardly what you're capable of to attract towards you the right group of people at this point. So I can give an example. for myself, over the years, I have changed from, being someone who has worked a long time in the hospitality industry. My experience was working and managing high volume restaurants for many years. And then I kind of went on a spiritual journey and realized, that was not my calling. And it led me to tarot reading and spiritual coaching. But it also led me to reconnect with my, true love of writing. And now, the tarot aspect of it, that took many years for me to get to a comfortable place to share that with other people, to say, yes, I read tarot cards. And many people would look at me, kind of with that look in their eye of, oh, okay, interesting. But I knew that I had changed on some deep level. And when I started to communicate from that place, when I started to really bring that into my everyday experience, well, then I had to share that to be able to attract to me the people who say, oh my gosh, I do that too. Or I've always wanted a reading. Can you read for me? Now, if I didn't actually share that part of myself, if I didn't showcase that part of myself, well, then I would never draw in anybody who also enjoyed the tarot, who also enjoyed the deeper spiritual aspects of, exploring our spiritual side in this way. And so I drew in the opportunities by simply being myself, by simply sharing the changes that I've come on. And I used my creativity to do what I do here, be able to make YouTube videos or be able to host little events that brought people closer to, being physically here and seeing what I do. So keep that in mind. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to pull an additional clarifier here. So let's see. Let's get an additional message. What does Pisces need to know more about surrendering to creativity? So show it off. I'm really seeing from this deck, Peacock Spirit, the let it shine. I think it would be ironic if it just comes out, but we'll see what it wants to come for you here. What does Pisces need to know? I might just have to pick this card because this deck is very big and bulky and hard for me to shuffle. What does Pisces need to know? An extra level of message for them, please. Okay, let it choose. This feels right. Oh, I like it. Dear Spirit, bring a gentle touch, number 18. It's interesting that came out because there's a feeling here of, when you look at this image of the deer, number 18 reduces down to the number 9. The number 9 is the ending of a cycle, but it's where we also get a chance to really harness the magic of that cycle, all the lessons learned, all the things that we now know that we did not before, and that's where the miracle and the magic lies. And there's almost this element here when you see this image of a deer with this beautiful kind of feathered headdress, that there's this quiet element of just being confident in showing who you are, bringing that out there. This deer is not just a deer. This deer is wearing this beautiful headdress with their third eye prominently, bedazzled, so to speak. And they're showcasing what they've learned, the knowledge that they've acquired, and they're not trying to force it on anybody. Instead, they're just showcasing in a beautiful way the creativity that they've experienced, being able to show in their own creative way the beauty that lies within. So really keep that in mind as you're moving through this month of how you can just quietly show to others, this is me. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and we're going to pull a final card here for the concept of contemplation. And this is where Spirit would like you to really stay reflective for this month, to really ground, again, this awareness in the present of where this miracle is going to come in for you, where this opportunity is going to come from. So we have Mintaken, longing for home, belonging, the original light workers. And this card always kind of feels to me very similar to the orphan card here. It's an individual who kind of looks like they are off on their own, and they're looking almost like off to the stars to wish that they could go back to a home that they are not in currently. And with boundaries, it says, where do you need to establish better boundaries? These two together really shows, I think, for some of you, that there's this element of really being able to, that you need to protect who you are. You need to establish those boundaries. That if there are people in your life who don't appreciate this beautiful new version of you, that's where you need to kind of, put up your hand and simply, like how this individual is, to say, no, this isn't going to work for me anymore. I'm not going to work in an environment where people don't honor my ideas. I'm not going to stay in a relationship where that person doesn't honor what I bring to the table. Or I'm not going to go and hang out with those friends anymore that don't see the way that I do. With the Mintaken part of it, there's that feeling of it's almost like having to realize that you have to find the home within yourself, that the home doesn't lie without. And that's kind of the realization with the 10 of Cups, is that the home is one that you build for yourself, and you invite others to enjoy it with you. It's not the other way around, where you're looking at outside of yourself to say, well, where is this home? How come I don't have it yet? And saying, first, get in touch with you and realize that you are home wherever you are, because, again, wherever you are, there you are, if that makes sense. The external circumstances aren't going to change internally who you are. So get very clear with who you are and bring that to every situation, but realize first it's time for you to start building that home for yourself, whether that's the work community that is supportive, where you have to first find where you feel welcomed. And then you can start to kind of build that. Or if you have to build your own business, so be it. Or, I love with the Knight of Pentacles coming in. This is a beautiful energy. That is one of forward, sight. It's one of putting the plan in place and really getting to work and slowly, step by step, building what feels like home for you. And the more that you do that, again, the more you're going to attract the right people and the circumstances who are going to help bring in this happy family. Yeah, the Empress, I love that. This is also showing for some of you, the Empress is a beautiful card that harnesses the true energy of our creativity, what we want to birth into the world. It can be that for some of you, perhaps you do want to give birth to a child, but for many of you, it can simply be, what do you want to give birth to through your own creativity? What do you want to step by step work towards? So this is like myself. If I'm, working on writing a book, I have to be the one to have that long-term vision of what do I want to write, and how am I going to step by step not only write the book, but then bring it to a place where I can then showcase it to others. So keep that in mind as to where you need to kind of put up boundaries so that you can set in place this plan, take the action steps needed to bring into being what you want to create. There's almost this feeling here. I love this. I love the illustration on this card, because it is almost like giving birth to the world that you want to live in. Instead of kind of looking away from you and really, saying like, well, when is the world going to fit me? When is the world going to change? It's saying, why don't instead you look at it from the opposite perspective of how can you start to create the version of the world you want to live in right here that fits who you are. Okay, and I'm going to pull a final card for the concept of love. Now, this can be for romantic love, but it's also just going to be kind of an extra message to highlight this reading. So I've noticed that, a lot of times the messages in these cards kind of have a double, there's the relationship portion of it, but then there's also just the larger overarching message. So let's see, what does Pisces need to know around the energy of love? Love for themselves, love for others, and potentially romantic relationships. What does Pisces need to know about love? Release your ex. It says the time has come to clear your energy. So this is very interesting. So for some of you, yes, there is an ex in your past that needs to be released. Now, this could be, if it's romantic for you, this could be a romantic partnership that, made you feel less than, or that you maybe regret, that you look back at and you sit here and you think, I spent so much time with this person and I wish it would have resulted in something different. I was hoping for the happy family and it didn't come. But this can also be an ex place that you worked in. It could be an ex-boss that made you feel that when you presented your ideas that they were not fitting, or that when you tried to just be yourself, show your creativity, they critiqued that. So there's something here where it's time to let go of some something in your life, an ex-friend, an ex-coworker, an ex-boss, an ex-romantic partner that made you feel less than when you showed your true colors. And I love that it says this time has come to clear your energy. Yeah, it's time to release that. You're building for yourself now what you want to create. You're a different person than you were at that time with that individual. And you're bringing forward now everything that's going to make you feel like this. It is going to bring in the happy family, but the patience is going to have to just be that patience with the process. There's something here that still needs to be healed first around the release of someone who made you feel less than when you were yourself, so that you can get back into the confidence that comes, it is required to build this kind of level of happiness that comes when you honor your true self. This is a beautiful month to get in touch with that. And the more that you do, the more that you really honor your creativity and you let it shine in this beautiful, soft way, you get very clear as to what is the world you want to live in? What is the home life you want to experience? What is the work environment you want to experience? And now start to build it for yourself. Not wait for it to come in, but build it. That's where the miracle is going to come in. That's where you're going to meet that right person who says, yeah, me too. I see your vision. I want to join you in the world that you see. Or it's going to be the opportunity to join maybe a new work environment that says the same thing, or to find the new romantic partnership that says, I too want to live in that kind of world. So beautiful opportunity this month, Pisces, to really find where you fit, to start to create that home for yourself, and to start to have others that come in to join you. All right, Pisces, if you'd like to book a personal reading or just learn more about the services I offer, you can click on the link in the description box below to visit my website. Otherwise, I will see you all in November for your next illumination reading. All right, Pisces, take care.